Darius Cole did not raise his voice. He just held his boarding pass up again. And the flight attendant still said, loud enough for half the cabin to hear, "Sir, you need to move. You're not sitting there." The whole plane turned to look. What they did not know was this seat was not a mistake. It was a test. Quick one before we jump in. Where are you watching from today? Drop your city or state in the comments. And if you're here for stories about dignity, fairness, and real accountability, hit like and subscribe. Now, back to it. Atlanta Airport was bright, clean, and loud in that constant way that makes you feel late even when you are early. Overhead lights bounced off polished floors, coffee smells mixed with warm pastries, suitcases rattled across tiles like a steady drum beat. Darius walked with a calm pace, one hand on a small suitcase, the other holding a slim folder tucked against his chest like it mattered. Beside him was his niece, Aaliyah. 16, long braids pulled neatly back, hoodie, jeans, trainers. She tried to look unbothered, but her eyes kept flicking to every sign, every screen, every uniform. Aaliyah glanced up at the departure board. "Unc, you sure we're good? You keep checking the time." Darius gave a small smile. "We're good. I just don't like rushing." Aaliyah watched him for a second. He always spoke like that. Calm, measured, like the world could throw anything at him and he would still choose his words carefully. They reached the airline check-in desk. A white gate agent with a tight bun and sharp eyeliner looked up. Her name tag read, Marlene. Marlene's smile landed on Aaliyah first. Then it slid off when she looked at Darius. Not fully, not enough to accuse her of anything, but enough that Aaliyah felt it in her stomach. Darius spoke politely. "Morning. We're on Flight 482 to Los Angeles." Marlene clicked her keyboard. Tap, tap, tap. Her eyes narrowed at the screen. Then she smiled again, too fast, like someone putting a lid on boiling water. "Oh, okay, Mr. Cole. And Aaliyah Cole?" "Niece," Darius said. "Same booking." Marlene nodded, still tapping. Then she tilted her head. Darius waited. Aaliyah watched Marlene's hands. Marlene sighed like this inconvenience belonged to her. "I'm seeing an aircraft change. We've had to adjust some seat assignments." Darius frowned slightly. "We selected seats together, 14C and 14D. Marlene nodded without looking up. "Yes. Well, those seats are no longer available." Aaliyah's tone sharpened. "So where are we sitting?" Marlene glanced at Aaliyah, then back to the screen. "You'll be seated separately." Aaliyah blinked. "Separately?" Darius stayed calm. "We're traveling together. She's a minor." "She looks grown," Marlene said, and her smile came back thin. Aaliyah opened her mouth. Darius lifted a quiet hand, not to silence her, but to steady her. Marlene kept going. "There's nothing I can do. The system already moved you. If you want to switch with someone once you board, that's up to you." Darius leaned forward slightly. "Can you show me what it moved us to?" Marlene's fingers paused. Then she clicked and turned the screen just enough. Aaliyah saw it first. Aaliyah, row 22, seat B. Darius, row 2, seat A. Aaliyah's eyes widened. "Wait, you're in first class?" Darius's face did not change, but his eyes did. He looked at Marlene. "Why is my niece in row 22? Marlene shrugged. "It's what the system gave." Darius nodded slowly. "Print them." Marlene's mouth tightened, but she printed the boarding passes and slid them over with 2 fingers, like she did not want her hand near his. Then she added, casual as anything, "Also, we've selected your bag for additional screening." Aaliyah let out a short laugh with no humor. "Of course you did." Marlene's smile stayed still. "Random." Darius looked at the tag, then at her. "Random," he repeated softly. Marlene finally met his eyes, cold, testing. "Sir, do you want to fly today or not?" The line behind them shifted. People sighed like Darius was the problem. Aaliyah felt heat rise in her chest. Darius took one quiet breath, deep and controlled, like he was choosing peace on purpose. "Yes," he said, "we want to fly." As they walked away, Aaliyah leaned in close. She did that on purpose. Darius nodded. I know, Aaliyah whispered. So what are we doing? Darius looked down at his boarding pass. Seat 2A. He slid his phone out, opened notes, and typed one line. Gate agent changed seat assignment. Observe pattern. Aaliyah blinked. Unk, why you writing like a detective? Darius gave a faint smile. Something like that. At the gate, sunlight poured through huge windows, making everything look too bright to hide anything. Passengers waited in clusters, kids on tablets, couples sharing headphones, older men reading newspapers. Aaliyah sat near the window, watching planes taxi. Darius stood by the boarding lane, calm and still, like a man waiting for something bigger than a flight. Aaliyah kept glancing at his seat. Unk, why would they put you in first class? Darius kept his eyes on the crowd. Sometimes systems do strange things. Aaliyah frowned. That's not an answer. Darius finally looked at her. Sometimes people do strange things, and they hide behind systems. Aaliyah sat back thinking. That's when a loud, friendly voice popped up behind them. Hey, you're in my seat. Darius turned. A white man in his late 40s stood there with a leather carry-on, a gold watch, and a grin that felt like it was meant to make you smaller. He flicked his eyes to Darius's boarding pass. Then the grin widened. That's my seat, he said, pointing. 2A, that's mine. Aaliyah stood up. How would you even know his seat? The man laughed like she was adorable. Because I'm sitting 2A. I fly this route all the time. Darius spoke calmly. What's your name? The smile paused just a fraction. Brent, he said. Brent Hargrove. Darius nodded. All right, Brent. What does your boarding pass say? Brent's grin sharpened. Oh, come on. You want to pull out paperwork? Aaliyah's voice got firm. Yes, we do. Brent leaned closer, lowering his voice like it was private but making it feel like a warning. Listen, mistakes happen. You got bumped. It's fine. Just go sit where you're supposed to sit. Aaliyah's cheeks burned. He is sitting where he's supposed to sit. It says it. Brent chuckled. Sweetheart, it says that because someone pressed the wrong button. Let's not make this a whole thing. Darius held his gaze. Show me your boarding pass. Brent's smile tightened. I don't need to show you anything. Darius nodded once. Then we're done talking. Brent's friendly mask cracked. He leaned in again, voice low, sharp. You people always want to argue. Aaliyah froze. Darius did not. Brent straightened and raised his voice, performing now. Gate staff, I think there's been a mix-up. This gentleman has my seat. Heads turned. Aaliyah whispered. He's doing it on purpose. Darius said softly, let him. A flight attendant approached. White woman, mid-30s, hair slicked back, perfect lipstick. Her badge read, Kendra. Kendra smiled at Brent first. Warm, familiar. Then she looked at Darius. The smile tightened. What seems to be the issue? She asked, though her tone already sounded decided. Brent spoke fast and confident. This man has my seat. 2A. I'm sure it's just a system mistake. Kendra turned to Darius. Sir, may I see your boarding pass? Darius handed it over. Kendra scanned it on the handheld device. Aaliyah watched the screen. The scanner beeped. Green. Kendra saw it too, but her face did not change. She looked at Darius and said, loud enough for people nearby to hear, This appears to be incorrect. Sir, step aside. You're holding up boarding. Aaliyah blurted, It just scanned green. Kendra's gaze snapped to Aaliyah. Miss, do not interfere. I'm speaking to him. Aaliyah clenched her fists. Darius stayed calm. If it's incorrect, show me. Show me what it says. Kendra's eyes hardened. Sir, step aside. Brent smirked. Darius could feel what was happening. The eyes, the assumptions, the silent votes being cast by strangers who had not asked a single question. He realized it then. They wanted him to react. They wanted a scene. They wanted him to become the story they already wrote in their heads. Darius stepped aside. Not in defeat, in strategy. He turned to Aaliyah. Record? Aaliyah blinked. Unk, what? Record, he repeated. Aaliyah slid her phone out and held it low, camera pointed. Kendra waved Brent forward like royalty. Brent handed over his pass. Kendra scanned it. The machine beeped. Yellow. Kendra paused. Brent's smile faltered. Kendra tried again. Yellow. Aaliyah caught it all. Kendra lowered her voice to Brent, but it carried. "Sir, your seat is 17D. Silence. Brent's face flushed. Then he laughed too loudly. "That's a glitch. I upgraded." Darius spoke calmly. "So you don't have 2A? Brent's smile went ugly. "Listen, man, I'm not sitting back there. Do you know who I am?" Darius replied. "No, but I know what your boarding pass says." Kendra lifted her hands, trying to regain control of the moment. "Everyone, please move along. Mr. Cole, board." Darius took his pass back and walked down the jet bridge. Aaliyah followed, still recording, chest tight. "They tried to set you up," she whispered. Darius nodded. "Yes." "Why?" Aaliyah asked. "Why do people do that?" Darius kept his eyes forward. "Because they think nobody will challenge it." Inside the cabin, first class smelled like leather and citrus cleaner. Darius found seat 2A, window side. He placed his bag up and sat down. Aaliyah hovered in the aisle, eyes flicking between him and the long walk back to row 22. "You want me to go back there?" she asked, voice tight. Darius stood up and looked at the seat beside him. 2B was empty. He waved Kendra over. Kendra approached, polite face, sharp eyes. "Yes?" Darius held up Aaliyah's pass. "I want her next to me. Seat 2B is empty." Kendra's smile tightened. "That seat may be reserved." "Reserved for who?" Darius asked calmly. "You told me I wasn't meant to be here. So who is meant to be here?" Kendra's jaw flexed. Brent appeared behind her like he had been waiting. He leaned in, loud again, enjoying the audience. "Of course he wants the seat, always trying to get something extra." Aaliyah spun around. "You just got caught trying to steal it." Brent's mouth curled. "Watch your mouth." Darius's voice turned quiet and firm. "Step back from my niece." Brent laughed. "Niece? Sure." Kendra raised a hand like she was calming children. "Mr. Cole, your niece must sit in her assigned seat. Safety policy." Darius nodded. "Show me the policy." Kendra blinked. "Excuse me?" "Show me," Darius repeated, calm. "The policy that says a minor cannot sit next to her guardian when there is an open seat." Kendra looked around, calculating. A few first-class passengers stared openly now. Then a voice came from behind them, calm and firm. "Let the girl sit with her family." Everyone turned. A black woman in her late 50s stood in the aisle, navy blazer, a neat scarf, silver at the edges of her hair, calm authority in her posture. Kendra forced a smile. "Ma'am, we have procedures," the woman replied, "and I've watched you ignore them twice in 10 minutes. Silence. The woman smiled at Aaliyah. "Sweetheart, take the seat. We're not doing this today." Aaliyah blinked, surprised by the warmth. Kendra's lips pressed tight. "Fine. But if there's an issue later, that's on you." Darius nodded. "I'll accept that." Aaliyah sat in 2B and breathed out like she had been holding her breath since check-in. Brent stood there, fuming. He leaned toward Darius, voice low. "You don't know what you just started." Darius met his eyes. "Actually, I do." Brent's eyes narrowed. "Who are you?" Darius answered, "A man who reads paperwork." The plane took off smoothly. Atlanta fell away into clouds. Aaliyah stared out the window, trying to let the moment go, but her hands were still tense. "Unc," she whispered. "I thought they were going to call security." Darius nodded. "They wanted that." "Why?" Aaliyah asked again. Darius spoke gently. "Because some people need the world to confirm their story. And their story only works if you play the role they assigned you." Time passed. The cabin settled. Drinks came around. Then, about 40 minutes into the flight, the calm changed. It started as a sound, a faint whining hum, not normal, not part of the usual plane noises. Darius's eyes lifted. Aaliyah noticed his whole focus shift, not panic, precision, like a switch flipped. A flight attendant moved quickly toward the front galley, then another. Passengers murmured. Aaliyah leaned in. "What is that?" Darius listened, then glanced toward the overhead panel near the front galley. He saw a tiny flicker, like a pulse. Electrical. His jaw tightened. The captain's voice came over the speaker, calm but clipped. "Ladies and gentlemen, please remain seated. Our crew is handling a small maintenance alert. Nothing to be alarmed about." Aaliyah's eyes widened. "Maintenance alert?" Darius stood up. Aaliyah grabbed his sleeve. "Unc, sit down." Darius kept his voice low. "I'm not going to run. I'm going to help." Kendra spotted him standing and snapped, "Sir, sit down immediately." Darius held up a calm hand. "There's a problem near the front galley. That sound isn't normal." Kendra's eyes flashed. "Sit down." Darius replied, steady. "I used to work aircraft maintenance. That's an electrical feedback loop. It can escalate." Kendra scoffed. "Sir, you are a passenger." Darius nodded. "Yes, and I'm hearing a warning." Then a smell hit them, faint, like hot plastic. The older black woman's head lifted sharply. A man across the aisle sniffed and frowned. Kendra froze for half a second. She smelled it too. Darius looked at her. "That's overheating. If there's a short, it becomes smoke fast." Kendra swallowed and turned to another crew member. "Get the fire kit." Darius added, "Check the panel above the galley light housing. If it's arcing, cut power to that circuit." Kendra stared. "How would you know that?" Darius replied. "Because I've seen it." The captain's voice returned, more serious. "Crew, confirm source." Kendra pressed the intercom. "Captain, possible electrical overheat near front galley." The crew opened a small panel. A tiny puff of gray smoke leaked out. Passengers gasped. Aaliyah covered her mouth. Darius pointed. "That's it. Cut the power now." Kendra hesitated, then did it. The whining hum stopped. The smell faded. The cabin exhaled. The older black woman stood and faced the passengers behind her, voice calm and clear. "Everyone, stay seated. Panicking won't help anybody. Let the crew work." Her tone steadied the whole cabin. Darius looked at her, surprised. She gave him a small nod like she understood exactly what he was doing. Kendra looked back at Darius now, differently. Not as a problem, as a person who had just helped keep everyone safe. And in the back, Brent watched too. But his face was not fear. It was anger. Because Darius had just saved the day in front of witnesses, and Brent did not like witnesses. If you have ever been in a situation where someone tried to embarrass you in public, and you stayed calm anyway, comment "still" down below. Because staying steady when people want you to snap is a kind of strength people do not talk about enough. Now, back to it. After the alert was handled, Kendra returned to Darius's row. Her posture had changed. Careful. "Sir," she said quietly, "thank you for your concern." Darius looked at her. That was not concern. That was a real problem. Kendra's eyes flicked away. Darius continued, calm and direct. "Now I'd like you to explain why you tried to ignore my boarding pass earlier." Kendra stiffened. "This is not the time." "It's the exact time," Darius replied. Kendra lowered her voice. "If you have an issue, you can file a complaint when we land." Darius glanced at the phone in her hand. "You've been messaging someone since the gate," Kendra snapped. "Do not make assumptions." Darius nodded. "Then answer one question. Why did my pass scan green and you still told me it was incorrect?" Kendra's lips pressed together. The older black woman angled slightly into the aisle, listening. Kendra finally said, "I made a judgment call." "Based on what?" Darius asked. Kendra's eyes flicked to Aaliyah, then back. "I have a lot to manage," Darius replied. "That's not an answer." Kendra turned to leave. "I'm done with this conversation." And that's when Darius opened the slim folder he had been carrying. He didn't wave it around. He did not show it to the cabin. He simply angled one page toward Kendra for a brief second. Aaliyah could not read all of it, but she saw a bold header. Compliance Review. Kendra stopped dead. Her eyes widened like someone had just said her full name out loud. "What is that?" she whispered. Darius kept his voice low. "Now you're interested in paperwork." Kendra's throat bobbed. You can't do that," Darius replied. "I can, and I will." Kendra's hands trembled slightly. "This isn't what you think," Darius said. "I saw the look you shared with the gate agent. That wasn't random." Kendra froze. Then she hissed, "Marlene is my cousin." Aaliyah's mouth fell open. Darius nodded once. "So you understand why this looks like a pattern?" Kendra swallowed. "She's been under pressure, complaints, one more, and she's done." Darius replied, "So she created a situation she thought she could control." Kendra whispered, "It was supposed to be easy." Darius asked softly, "Easy for who?" Kendra had no answer. An hour later, Brent made his move. He walked up the aisle with his phone in his hand, acting casual. He stopped beside Darius's row, loud enough for nearby passengers to hear. "Look," Brent said, "I'm willing to let this go. We can squash it." Darius looked at him. "We?" Brent forced a chuckle. "You made your point. You got your little win. Now let's be adults." Aaliyah stared at him like she could not believe the audacity. Brent leaned in, voice lower. "You don't want trouble with an airline, trust me. They have ways." Darius met his eyes. "Are you threatening me?" Brent smiled. "I'm advising you." Darius nodded. "Then here's my advice. Sit down. Stop talking to us." Brent's smile dropped. He leaned closer, voice ugly. "You think you're special because you sat in first class for an hour? You're still you." Aaliyah started to rise. Darius placed a calm hand on her arm. Then he said, "You're not angry about the seat. You're angry because you thought you could make me small, and it didn't work." Brent's nostrils flared. "You don't know what you're dealing with," Darius replied. "Actually, I do." Darius took out his phone, tapped once, and played audio. Brent's voice, clear as day from earlier. "You people always want to argue." Brent's face drained. Aaliyah's eyes widened. A couple of passengers nearby leaned in without meaning to. Brent whispered, "Turn that off." Darius did not raise his voice. "No, you said it out loud. Now you can stand in it." Brent looked around and saw eyes on him now, not admiring, not entertained, judging. For the first time, Brent felt what Darius had felt at the gate, and he hated it. Brent hissed, "You're going to regret this." Darius nodded once. "Maybe, but you're going to be accountable." Brent stormed away. Aaliyah stared at her uncle, stunned. "Unc? Who are you really?" Darius looked out at the clouds. "Years ago," he said quietly, "I worked aircraft maintenance, then I moved into safety and compliance." Aaliyah blinked. "Like, you investigate airlines?" Darius nodded. "When there are patterns, discrimination, shortcuts, people covering for each other." Aaliyah's voice dropped. "So, this flight..." Darius's eyes stayed forward. "This flight gave me more evidence than I expected." When the plane landed in Los Angeles, the cabin filled with that rushed movement of people standing too quickly. Sunlight poured in through windows as the plane taxied, making everything look clean and sharp. Kendra returned to Darius's row, pale. Her voice was small now. "Mr. Cole, please." Darius looked up. "Please what?" Kendra swallowed. "Please don't ruin us." Darius replied, calm and steady. "You ruined yourselves when you decided dignity was optional." Kendra's eyes glistened. "Marlene's been scared. They told her one more complaint and she's done." Darius nodded. "So she tried to create a complaint against me, not about her." Kendra flinched. Darius continued. "Here's what's going to happen. You're going to write a statement. Marlene will be reviewed. Brent will be reported for fraud, and this incident goes into an ongoing compliance report." Kendra whispered, "Ongoing." Darius nodded. "This isn't my first flight with your airline." Kendra looked like the floor moved under her. Then the older black woman stepped forward, calm as ever. She smiled at Darius. "I thought I recognized your calm." Darius blinked. "And I thought I recognized yours." She extended her hand. "Dr. Camille Reed." Darius's face softened. "Camille Reed?" She nodded. "Yes." Aaliyah whispered, "Unc, who is she?" Darius answered quietly, "She chairs the independent oversight panel I'm presenting to tomorrow." Aaliyah froze. That was the twist that made the whole flight click into place. The woman who defended them, who calmed the cabin, who watched everything with steady eyes, was not a random passenger. She was the person who could make sure this did not get buried. Dr. Reed said gently, "I'm glad I was on this flight." Darius nodded. "So am I." At the jet bridge, security was waiting. Not for Darius, for Brent. Brent's face was furious as officers spoke to him. His posture screamed entitlement, but his eyes showed fear now, because his little game had turned into a formal report, and the plane had been full of witnesses. Aaliyah watched, stunned. Darius leaned toward her. This is what accountability looks like. Not shouting, not violence, truth with receipts. Outside baggage claim, the California sun made everything look golden. Aaliyah walked beside Darius, still processing. "Unc," she said quietly, "I was so close to losing it." Darius nodded. "I know." Aaliyah swallowed. "How do you stay calm when someone treats you like that?" Darius stopped and turned to her. He looked at her braids, her face, her youth, and his voice softened. "Because I refuse to let people rent space in my spirit for free," he said. Aaliyah blinked. "What?" Darius smiled gently. "They wanted you to react so they could justify what they already decided about you. I stay calm not because it doesn't hurt. I stay calm because I choose the ending." Aaliyah's eyes shimmered. "And today," Darius added, "we got a better ending." Aaliyah let out a shaky laugh. "We did." They reached the arrival's doors. Aaliyah's mum was waiting, waving hard, face bright with relief. She hugged Aaliyah first, then hugged Darius tight. When she pulled back, she looked at him like she understood without needing details. "You always handle things the right way," she whispered. Darius nodded. "I try." Aaliyah looked up at the bright day and said quietly, "I learned something today." Darius asked, "What's that?" Aaliyah lifted her chin. "Dignity is not something people give you. It's something you keep." Darius smiled, proud. As they walked to the car, Darius's phone buzzed. A new message. "We reviewed the preliminary clips. Tomorrow's hearing just changed. Thank you." Darius tucked the phone away and placed a steady hand on Aaliyah's shoulder. Because the happiest endings are not always loud. Sometimes the happiest ending is knowing the next person will not have to go through what you just survived. And if this story hit you, remember this. Some people will try to provoke you, not because you're wrong, but because your calm makes their cruelty look obvious. You do not have to become ugly to prove you deserve respect. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stay steady, collect the truth, and let accountability do what anger never can. If you've ever had to keep your dignity in a place that tried to strip it, comment dignity. And if you want more stories with fairness, justice, and real accountability, like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs it.